Was good YouTube Flash Speaks back, man. So we got the Philadelphia Eagles just defeated the New York Giants. Last I was there it was 28-3. The game is probably still on. Unless I'm missing, I just left. I just walked out, said we need to get straight to this. Um, well, the story of this game was quite simple. We're not going to come out here and act like the Philadelphia Eagles had a perfect game. But we also, at the same time, are going to acknowledge that I don't look for perfect games. Final score 28-3, Philadelphia Eagles over the New York Giants, our longtime rival forever. Um, this is a game that didn't surprise me, though um, I didn't know that we were going to be holding them to 3 points. Now, listen, I know New York Giants are not a prolific offense. This isn't one of those things where I'm just puffing the chest out necessarily. But for me, it's the type of game that was necessary. In that, what I saw was us deciding to go with what worked as opposed to trying to force a particular way of playing. You take what's there, you look at the opponent, you see that they are horrible against the run coming into the game. The Philadelphia Eagles have averaged over 150 yards against the New York Giants on the ground over the last 8 times we played them. So knowing this is the stat and this is the situation, I'm actually proud of the guys that what they did was went with the running game when they saw that it was working. Jalen Hurts for the game, not spectacular through the air. It's almost like a 1985 type of stat he put up, talking about 10 of 14, 114 yards, 1 touchdown. But for me, it was a great game because it was efficient. There was no interceptions, especially in a situation where the New York Giants off defensive line really showed up. I thought that was very problematic. Mailata's backup does have me a little bit concerned. Now, mind you, I understand we're not going to be facing Brian Burns every week. He and Dexter Lawrence are one of the most prolific sackers in this year, so we're not going to face him all the time. However, I am a little concerned about that. Jordan Mailata, you're talking about as a staple of that offensive line. But despite all of that, my game balls go out to number one, the Eagles' offensive line. You're talking about Saquon Barkley coming out, 17 carries, 177 yards, and it seemed like it was more than that. I mean, every time I turn around, Saquon was out. One touchdown. I thought he had 2 touchdowns. No? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was the damn Hurts got the 2 touchdowns with the tush pushes, which is a play I'm going to talk about in a minute because I'm actually sick and tired of seeing that damn thing, to be honest with you, even though as an Eagles fan, I used to love it. Like I said, Saquon Barkley, 17 carries, 177 yards, 2.4-point average. And when you're talking about an offensive line that came in with a lot of questions, you got Jordan Mailata already out. Then you got Mekhi Becton goes down. Unfortunately, I saw Landon Dickerson limping at certain times. There was a run I think Gainwell did. Gainwell actually rolled up his ankle. I saw him touching his ankle. And I'm glad to see he stuck it out and was in there. But that offensive line, I got my eye on them. They went out there and they get the main game ball for me. The second game ball absolutely has to go to Saquon Barkley. I mean, you can flip them. You can say Saquon is more deserving on the offensive line, but for me, it's all hand in hand. You got to have the line. You got to have the running back. So that's the way that goes with that. A.J. Brown, good game. Talking about 5 catches, 89 yards. I would have liked to see Devontae Smith get a little bit more targets. It's unfortunate when you have these types of games where you're only passing the ball 14 times. Everyone doesn't get the touches that you think that you would like to see them get. Pretty much that's all we got from the receivers. Saquon Barkley with two catches in the Nebraska Alcantara, one that's the tight end. And it was just one of those days. That's the way it went. I think we were trying to target A.J. Brown a lot earlier. Then what happened was we saw that the running game was working. This was especially after Saquon's initial 56-yard run that took place in the second quarter. I think we decided to go with the running game, which I don't have a problem with ever doing that, to be completely honest. Now, the real game ball, the ultimate game ball for me here goes to the Philadelphia Eagle defense, and in particular those Georgia boys, and then that boy we got from TCU, because that works hand in hand. Darius Slay played well as well. This was one of those games where the defensive line, along with Vic Fangio, sending a little extra pressure, coupled with the backcourt, the backfield handling their business, led to us getting the most sacks I believe we gotten all year. So this is 2 weeks in a row. The Eagles have gotten over 4 sacks or 5 sacks. So today you had Nakobe Dean with 2, Jalen Carter with 2. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All together, that is 8 sacks for the day. Game ball goes out to the defense for sure for that. Now, we're not going to act like the Giants have a prolific offense. That's okay. So the Eagles basically did what they're supposed to do. You play against the bad offenses, you play against the bad quarterbacks, you make them look bad. That's what you do, and that's the most I'm gonna get. I guess or co-host that I'm about to bring on, Solo M. He had a lot to say about this. He said that at halftime, when we were up 14-3, that he started surfing some of the websites and he saw that the Philadelphia Eagles fans were just jumping all over Jalen Hurts. I guess because Jalen Hurts wasn't out there passing for 200 yards already. And I find that type of stuff deplorable. So we're bringing on the brother right now. Here's Solo M. What you got to say? What you got on this, my brother?
What's going on?
Hey,
Finally feel like a game, man. You feel good today. You know?
Finally feel good.
Finally feel good.
Yeah, I hear that.
And I see people still complaining about the offense, but hey, at the end of the day, we put up 28 points. I don't know what more people want. And we finally ran the ball. That's all I ask for. Run the ball and play defense. Right. You do that in a lot of games in this league. That's just the reality to it. Now, I'm gonna be patient with the offense as far as the passing play, but that running game looked good, damn good. And I mean, according to the statistics, this is the most the Eagles running back ever had in the history of the franchise in the first 6 games, as far as rushing yards. So this guy's on the pace for a tremendous season, a tremendous running the ball, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think he almost up to 600 for the year. Right? It's about 570.
He's over 600.
Over 600. He
came in with like 475.
Oh yeah, right.
So it's a beautiful thing, man. It really is.
Yeah, they said he got the most yards since LaShawn McCoy in the first 6 weeks. I think I read a stat that said that. So that's good.
You know, the Giants on their stuff right now, man. This is his worst nightmare. Saquon coming in, rushing for all these yards. This is his worst nightmare.
Oh, man. I can't wait to see, man, some of the content creators, the Giant content creators, man. My man Mad Dog, what's the other boy, Cop Pizzle, and who's the other? There's a couple of them, man. Giants, man. Shout out to all Giant content creators, man. I know y'all going through it. It's rough right now, man. But hey, you know, I don't know what to say. Yeah, man. Yeah, I know Bad Dog going crazy. You know, plus, as I remember when we first got Saquon, many of them were in like denial. You know, speaking as if he wasn't gonna make a difference. You know, they're like, he doesn't have the same burst he had when he was younger. I don't know, Giant fans. That burst looked real good today. You know, so that was a heck of a debut for Saquon, or a return for Saquon back in MetLife. That was crazy. So what you think of this?
The defense had 13 sacks in the last 2 games, which is remarkable. And if they keep playing like this, them Georgia Bulldogs, man, them Bulls, they
Yeah,
play
this is the
good.
best. Yeah, this is the best day they had, man. The Georgia boys.
You got number 3, Nolan Smith. You know what I mean? Jalen Carter. Them
Yep.
Georgia Bulldogs came to play today. And they
You
getting
know,
better.
you saw with Nolan Smith how his rushing off the edge aided Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter ended up with 2 sacks, but a lot of
Yeah.
them had a lot to do with Nolan Smith. Forcing the quarterback to move. And just take
Yeah.
just the extra second.
And quarterbacks are in Quinn Mitchell, man. He is a gem. Let me tell you, he could have had an interception today. He is a gem. He do not allow catches on his side of the.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on with this guy, man. This guy is really a gem, man, in the making.
that's what
Like
they were
it's
saying.
insane.
They were saying on pro day, man. Like a lot of people slept on Quinyon. Had they known he was this good, he would have been a top 10 pick. Had he not went to TCU, like if Quinyon was, Georgia or Ohio State or any of those schools, heck, at Notre Dame, he would have went. He would have went in top 10, easy. You know, this young guy, his technique is just damn near flawless. He runs with anybody. Because that was the last thing they wanted to see. They saw him shutting down pretty much everybody that he was up against in his senior year in college. But they wanted to see, what did he do against the best? He went out there pro day. He shut down, or he did a really good job on Marvin Harrison. They said, matter of fact, he was the best player out down there in pro day. They said out of all the players, that's crazy. I'm glad he slipped to us because he did to pick up a corner like Quinyon Mitchell. When did we take him? 22 or something like that?
21.
21. Yeah, that's crazy, right? And then Cooper DeJean was still there. That's crazy. We got the pick of the litter, like out of all of the corners, and that was that play, man. But what I'm hoping is he isn't one of those corners that like just ain't got no hands. Because sometimes you had him. Remember the Dallas used to have the boy Byron Jones, like he would always be there and play tight. He just couldn't catch nothing, But I think the picks are going to come. They're going to come for him.
And I don't want to sell the Eagles defense short. This Giants team is not the bad as we made them look. We made them look bad. Because if you look how they played against the Cowboys and things like that, they scored the ball. They did some things.
It's true. This is the first time they were really, really destroyed. Now, part of it, I know that their starting right or left tackle was out. I know that's part of it, but I don't know that even with him that they really are that stout of an offensive line. The Giants have been struggling with the line, definitely since Saquon was there. So I don't know. I'm gonna give my boys credit.
Turn into a more quicker game because the offensive line right now is trash. I mean that's why a lot of sacks came up because we just not blocking well.
Well, you think the line is trash, or you think the Giants just really got a hell of a defensive line?
We most of the sacks we got we was going deep, and we got to go quicker because we can't hold up for them deeper runs.
Right. Yeah. But I'm saying, do you think that's more is our line?
No, I think Johnson trash. I mean? Like he is insanely trash, man. It's unbelievable. And we're not blocking the blitz well. That was getting to us today too. Because I'm seeing comments, right? People saying Hurts holding on to the ball. He had 2 seconds.
Man, them fans. A lot of them fans, man, and I'm trying not to go on Eagle fans, but I'm about to start going in on them because, like, let's be for real. We got like 3 people in here watching this damn thing, and then but they want to watch dudes that they want to watch. They want to watch a bunch of dudes that think Nakobe Dean should be benched. That's what I heard one of these dudes say. They want to watch a bunch of dudes that are out here just jumping on Jalen Hurts simply because they just don't like have the understanding they ain't watched enough football to see that you implementing a new offense. Sometimes that's a build up, and you need to look for incremental gains. This is my rundown of the team right now. This is basically my basic rundown right now. Right now, the team that looks like the best team in the NFC right now is either out of Minnesota or Detroit. I give them that. They looking the best right now. I'm not going to sit here and say Eagles looking the best, but the thing about it is there's reasons for that. Number one, you got a new offensive coordinator, so you're trying to. Oftentimes, a lot of the plays we're doing, this is the first time a live action Hurts ran them. He'll run them better the fifth time. Like there was the one time we missed Devontae. I get it, he's looking the other way, but I don't know if Devontae is the first person to read, second, third, whatever. We don't know that. Then secondly, when you run a play for the first time in live action, you don't know how the defense is going to react. When you see how the defense reacts to the play, then the second time you run that same play, you're better and sharper with it. This is what a lot of our Eagle fans has got to understand. Things don't always come out and just be perfect, right away. But because we have so much talent, we will be winning games while working towards perfecting the offense. That's just the way that's going to be. If you're expecting like all this perfection like that happened like in 2022, that's silly. Because in 2022, you had more continuity than you had. Like going from 2021 to 2022, the only difference was you had an A.J. Brown. The year before that, we already had Miles Sanders. You already had Devontae Smith. You already had the line. You already had the coordinator in Shane Steichen. So from 2021 to 2022, it was just Jalen Hurts and everything clicking because this was his second year in the same offense. Right now, you're implementing a new offense. They're doing some of the old stuff that he's already comfortable with. That's why people are complaining about some of the formations looking like the way they looked last year. I do get that. However, you're starting to see us implement more of the under center stuff. But what you got to understand with the under center stuff, this is a lot of the first times this offense has ever run these things in live action. You're going to get better as time moves on. The good thing about us, we have enough talent to win in the meantime. Like, do you know how much of a damn blessing that is to have an A.J. Brown that you can just throw it up to? Do you know how much of a blessing that is to have a Saquon Barkley you can just hand it off to? Do you know how much of a blessing it is to have an offensive line that is coached by Jeff Stoutland that can keep you afloat, that can just help you to just dominate physically against the opponent? Like, we're overlooking a lot of that. But that's what it is. You're not going to look like the Lions right now. I mean, it would be nice if you did. You're not going to look like the Vikings right now. What we hope is by week 10, week 11, we better start looking like that. That's the thing. By week 10, week 11. But I am glad to see they implement it. Right, go ahead. What you got?
The crazy part is the offense not clicking, and we still 4-2, and rightfully so should be 5-1. So I don't want to hear about last year winning games. And you see how better the defense is when you stop the run. When you stop the run, the defense look 1,000% better.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a brother Alfredo said we're gonna deal with one of these couple of these comments here. We got a brother Alfredo. How you doing, bro? That's my man right here. He says, when we beat the Commanders, Vikings, Baltimore, and Lions, and I would be beating my chest. Yeah, I agree. This is not a chest beater. It's not a chest beater, but it should help us feel better about the team. Like, if we're just as bad as people thought, then you're going to struggle against the Giants. You'll struggle against bad teams. The Giants is a team that went out there and beat the Seattle Seahawks. So, and the Seahawks is a team you got to respect. So, this is the NFL. If you ever go out there in any week and you're not ready to play, you can always lose. So every win is a win, and every win is a good win. I'm fine with it. But I agree, it's not a chess beat.
Quarterback is a benchmark because we the benchmark for them. I mean, they got to prove they can beat us.
Yeah. Who's that? Who got to prove they can beat us?
Commanders with a rookie quarterback. We are the benchmark.
Yeah, Commanders. Listen, I respect the Commanders. Hold on, did they play yet?
They playing right now. They play Carolina. So they probably going to beat Carolina because
they beat Carolina, yeah. Right. So that's the same thing. And then two, I mean, all right, they 4-2. We what 4-3? Like, I mean, oh, we both 4-2, right? Us and the Commanders.
Yeah,
They just haven't had their bye yet. You know. Yeah, I mean, like man, let's be fair. They have a rookie quarterback. Let's come on. Yeah, it's like they have a rookie quarterback. We have an experienced defensive coordinator. So when we play them, I just don't. I, I get it. People jump on bandwagons because the team's starting off hot. I don't. I don't fear the Commanders. I don't. Um,
at all.
yeah,
Right now, people complain about Hurts turnovers. So, the Eagles said, okay, we're going to make him a game manager, and we're going to win games until the offense get right. Once the offense get right, then we're going to start launching. Then we're going to start launching the ball. So I'm cool with what he's doing right now.
I
You know what I
mean,
mean, I'm cool. His passing rate was like a buck 30 today. I'm cool with it.
yeah, yeah. You got a touchdown pass. You got a touchdown pass. You got two touch pushes, which I am. Look, I'm not gonna hold you. This is something I want to talk. Personally, I am definitely sick and tired of that damn tush push. I am. Only because I think we're like we're keeping our offense stagnant by not doing a lot of other things. You know how many things you could do with this offense at the goal line? Like, what about rolling it, Hurts out to the right and catching Devontae or something, or catching the tight end, catching AJ? What about, lob passes? There's a lot of stuff I think that is being left on the field simply because we're relying too much on the tush push. The tush push got them just thinking they don't have to be creative on third and short, and that's the one thing I don't like. I just man, I'm not feeling it. And I think the NFL might end up banning it. Ultimately, probably won't happen before the year's over. But like, it isn't a very entertaining thing to watch at this point. I loved it 2 years ago, but now it's starting to get on my nerves. Only because I need to
I
see this.
got no issue with it. As long as you score with it, I'm cool with it. I ain't got no issue with it.
Yeah, I need to see the offense evolve. I just think it's going to become a situation where it could be a problem. But my man, the sporting page says Eagles being 4-2, excellent breathing room. Yeah, it's good breathing room, especially when you look at who we got coming up next week.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Right, Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Bengals are a team you got to respect, but they're playing bad right now. So, um, let me see. I know when I looked ahead at the schedule. Let's see. We got the Bengals, then we got the Jaguars, then we got the Cowboys. Oh yeah, I like that schedule. You know, um, Eagles should be. So we got the Bengals next week, got the Jaguars, and then we got the Cowboys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this link in here. Anybody want to come up and add? Anybody want to come through? Just hit the link. You know what I mean? If you want to voice your opinion about this game or this team or the NFL at all. Do you have anything else that you want to say about this particular game before we start talking about a little bit of what's going
The
on?
special teams played a lot better today. I was definitely appreciative of that.
With the exception of all them damn penalties, man. That's the only thing they got to clean up. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
I think the special teams might have like 3 damn penalties. They clean that up. They clean that up. That'd be great. But around the league, man, I was wondering, what did you think of some of the moves that were made this year? Like for example, Devontae Adams to the Jets. What you think of that?
um, I'm hoping it knock off the Kansas City Chiefs, honestly. And with Reddick back in the lineup, I'm hoping that's enough to knock the Chiefs off. I need them gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I need them gone because I don't think Buffalo going to do it. even though they got Amari Cooper now, which is a good move. But I never seen Amari Cooper as a game changer in any team he's been on. So until he prove it to me, they gonna be what they gonna be.
I messed this thing all the way up. I know I messed up Devontae Adams' name. I mean, how the hell do you spell Devontae? You know, everybody spelled Devontae so daggone different, man. You got Devontae.
You
Uh,
know, Jamal Adams just got cut, right?
yeah, yeah. I
I,
don't know.
I will look into him.
I don't know if he's what he used to be though. That's
He
the
only 28.
yeah. So he's like I don't know. He had some injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, I look into it. I just know he ain't what he was. I mean, I don't think he is. But it don't hurt to try. I guess I like the way our safeties. Well, I mean, yeah. If he's possibly the older,
This
but
defense playing lights out right now, and I don't want to change anything. But I signed him just in case somebody get hurt or something.
I feel.
And you see that play Sidney Brown made? See, that's why I like Sidney Brown. He makes plays.
You talking about on special teams?
No, he made a pass breakup on Neighbors. When Drew Lock came in the game, he threw it to Neighbors on the left side, and Sidney Brown came up and knocked the ball down.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, you probably cut the game off at the time. We was already
Oh, okay. You talking about when the backups came in? I got you.
yeah. They
Yeah, I
put
was
the
out.
backups in, and
Once
he
they
made
did
a
that,
play.
I was down. I'm like, we're gonna start. We're gonna get this thing popping now, man. So that, but all in all, man, I ain't got nothing to complain about. I already imagine they probably still will complain. WIP and all those places, they crazy, man. And then some of these content creators are crazy too. I
And
respect.
and, and, and I want to just let the Eagles fan know we 4-2. At the end of the day, you cannot keep complaining when you're winning.
Yeah,
That's just a miserable fan base. You got to appreciate what your team is doing. And if this is the weakest we're going to be, you got to agree that we're going to get better and better.
yeah. The only thing
We're
that can
going to get
stop,
better and better. That's just the reality to it.
yeah. The only thing that
The,
can
the
stop
year
is
we won the Super Bowl, we barely beat the Giants with a 60-yard field goal. Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen 10 down the line. If we get better and better, that's a great thing. And the defense right now, the Georgia Bulldogs, man, they going to get better and better. Like, this team is young.
and this is my thing. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I don't really fear these teams because, like, okay, at the end of the day, the Vikings are looking like they could be the team, or the Lions. The Vikings with Sam Darnold. Like, at the end of the day, if I'm Fangio better, he better figure out some damn Sam Darnold. Or if it's like you know, not the goodness gracious, it could be the Packers. So I'm love concerns me, but we beat them. But the other guy, Sam Darnold, or who's the other guy that in golf? I mean, I respect golf, but I don't fear him. I know he's a guy that can get got. If you can get pressure on golf, you can get him. Uh, then who else? The Falcons are supposed to be worried about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins got to give me a reason to worry about him. And
Mm.
who else? The Cowboys. I don't know what's up with them. They may be done. The Saints fell off. Uh, the 49ers, I guess they the 49ers. They're always a threat, but look, you know, there's a good chance we'll have a
The
better record than
49ers
them.
are 3-3 right now, believe it or not.
Yeah, you know. Uh, a big key with them though, you want to get them here in Philly. Even though I guess that ain't mattered last year in the regular season, but I don't know. I just it is what it is. The 49ers are the most I got to worry about. I'm good with that because I think I got a team this year that'll be more prepared, ready to deal with them. I mean, you know, so far, Fangio gave me three good games. The Saints game was excellent. He gave me these two good these last week and this week. Um, like I said, I ain't bragging about us stopping
Fangio said
prolific
he going to turn
offenses.
to Buddy Ryan and just bring the house.
Yeah.
and that's what he's doing, and it's working.
Yeah. Yep.
It is working.
Yep. So, um, arrows pointing up to me. Arrows pointing up, man. And we're gonna see next week.
We play on the road or at home with Cincinnati.
Looks like we go to Cincinnati. Yep.
Got a lot of road games. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if that means they get loaded up to be home games at the end, I'm with that. Get these joints out of the way, and you
Yeah, they say the
know,
last month of the season we don't go. We don't get on no planes.
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. This was good, man. Just finally a nice, easy, stress-free win. I can't ask for more. Um, I don't like the Giants as an organization, but I can't kick a man when he's down right now. I can, but for what? I actually feel bad for the Giants. It's like took Saquon and did that to you. It's like the Eagles just love to mess with the Giants. It's crazy, man. Just take their
I
players.
I wonder how the fans felt seeing Saquon rip to their team like
I
that.
can't wait to see these.
They got to be heartbroken.
I cannot wait to see these content creators. I think the whole competition gonna be on the ground like this, one of them joints. Baby doll, whistle, all that old kinds, all that nonsense. Um, so we see. But
He
look,
only ran the ball 17 times. That's not that many times for a $1.75. And he didn't even play the fourth quarter. Imagine if he played the fourth quarter.
oh yeah. That's easy 250.
Now, I don't want to hear people complaining because the offense didn't even play the fourth quarter. We
Exactly.
was like sitting down. Hurst was sitting down. It was 11-11 in the clock in the fourth quarter.
And they did what I want. If the running game is working, you ain't got to pass. You just don't. If the running game is working, you good.
Yeah.
So, uh, what's my man, Jared? Yeah, I'm gonna bring you up, Jared. What's going on, bro?
Hey, can you hear me, Philon?
Absolutely.
All right, so listen. And this was actually predictable, in my opinion, though, because when you have an emotional game like Saquon and the Eagles play, like they were gonna hand him the ball and like let him go cook, bro. Like that was now maybe like the amount of yards he had was a little surprising, but the fact that he went off against the Giants, that wasn't surprising. Like they were gonna make sure that he sent a message, Philon.
Who's your team? I never asked you that before.
Okay, so I'm a Lions fan. Like I grew up in Detroit.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So how you like the way your line's looking?
That was a good win, man. Like I think the weird part, the only part that I thought was weird is that at the end of the game, like I'm trying to understand like what the Vikings were doing, like because the end of the game, bro. Like you have to understand, like when you have no timeouts and you have that little time remaining, like you can't throw the ball in the middle of the field. Like you, honestly, what I think they should have done, if I'm really being honest, they literally, I would much rather risk an interception and throw to the sideline, like because teams are smart. They're going to cover the sideline, but sometimes you just gotta force it. Like when you have a Justin Jefferson, like he can make some insane catches though, bro. Like
Right.
sometimes you gotta force it, man. Like and he can make some ridiculous catches though, bro. But like that's the only thing that kind of confused me a little bit. Like, why are you throwing it to the middle? Like you have no timeouts and no time. Like it's just
Well, see,
you know what I mean,
the
Philon?
problem is when you got Sam Donald, you limit it when the game is on the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like I just think
When he's up 21, then he can do whatever he wants. But when the game on the line, he really need it. That's Sam Donald.
yeah.
Like, what he gonna
But
do?
well, yeah, I think the other thing, like speaking of the Eagles, like so there's kind of a split camp, I think, in the Eagles team and the media between there. I'll put it this way: like there are guys that obviously are like all Eagles all the time, but then you have certain players in media that don't either like Hurts or Sirianni or like the team or something like that. Like there's not. I think there's a tendency to pretend like the Eagles are worse than what they are. Like I think really what's bad about the Eagles, if anything, is the coaching. I don't think the team is bad. I think the coaching is not great.
Right. I think that's pretty much the sentiment around here as well. That it's more so an issue of coaching, and we're just tolerating Nick Sirianni and hoping he doesn't get in the way more than anything. Kind of let Vic Fangio and let Kellen Moore kind of just run the football operations and just be the guy to give speeches to get the team hyped, get them motivated, run the practices. It just game day though. Just stay out the way, bro. Just stay out the way.
Right.
Don't do
Yeah.
nothing stupid. You know, because like, see, there are Eagle fans that want to get rid of him, but my thing is, I don't want to make that move in the middle of the year. It's like as long as the situation is manageable and you actually can see yourself in the playoffs, it's like just manage him more than just change everything. Because sometimes when you just get rid of the coach, it gives off the impression to the players that you're just punting on the season.
Yeah.
And that isn't what I wanted to do. So it's more like just manage him. Now, if he's just like not following orders or directives from those on top of him or anything like that, then you got to make a move.
Yeah,
From
I
there.
feel you. It's just the one thing I will say in all honesty about Nick Sirianni is I think what he has to do is he has to understand that like the Eagles as an organization, they understand what their goal is, but I think the other thing they don't want things like internally to be a distraction, because I think the one thing that a lot of the contending teams have in the league is that they try and keep their distractions down to a lower level if they can, because like it's just hard. Like honestly, like you already have an opponent out there that you're battling. Like it's not gonna make it any easier if you're like battling within yourself, like within the team or like the media or like the coach. Like you don't need to have an extra opponent out there for yourself to where now you have to fight something internally. Like you just like and obviously like we've understood this for years and years. Like you don't want to beat yourself. Like if you're gonna lose games, you want the other team to beat you. You don't want like anything like self-immolation, so to speak, for line. You never want that in the team.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. But man, yeah, your Lions right now looking like the best team in the conference.
I mean
You say you say they are?
yeah, you know what's crazy though, bro? Like being a Lions fan and like watching the team for like as long as I have, like it's crazy. Like if you were to go back, let's say 4 years ago, and ask any Lions fan would they be in a position where they could legitimately go to the Super Bowl, I think a lot of Lions fans would literally just have looked like, wait, when are we doing that? Because keep in mind, when they traded for Jared Goff initially and sent Stafford to the Rams, people laughed at that trade. Like people literally thought that the Rams just completely fleeced the Lions, and so it actually is good that I think Goff is enough in the spotlight now to where we understand like that he's really good now. Like I think that was a question like for years and years, just how good he was like as a player, just because people felt like he was more of a product of like what McVay made him into. But I think like now we know that like he's actually a good quarterback.
I think initially he was a product of, because they remember they had Ty Gurley, they used to run him heavy, and then you had
Yeah,
McVay's offense. I think initially that was the case, but once he got rolling and he got comfortable with the NFL, he's seen enough plays and all of that. Because I mean, he's a talented guy when he was when he was out in Cal. You know,
yeah,
the arm was there. We know that. I think the question for golf was probably the intangibles, and some may still have that. Is he clutch?
yeah,
In a big spot, that sort of thing. But at the same time, he's done what a lot have not done. He's played in the Super Bowl and he's played in the championship game. So nobody can take that from him.
yeah.
And I look forward to seeing him. In championship game or something like that. I look forward to seeing the Lions.
Well, yeah, and Falana, here's another point that I think may contribute to why he's not like, or like he wasn't like as ballyhooed as what he probably should have been. I think a lot of times, sometimes when you're like more of like the quiet leader, like you don't get a lot of credit sometimes. And I think as an Eagles fan, you can kind of relate to that a little bit because Jalen Hurts is not necessarily the loudest of guys. And so people sometimes question, is he actually a leader? But like, you don't always have to be like the rah rah scream at people got to be a leader. Like sometimes you can lead by just playing well and still like leading guys along. Like you don't like your voice is not the only thing you can lead with. You can lead with also your play and like just how you are around others.
All right. Now the Jalen Hurts narratives about him not being a leader is something that just was concocted as a result of them having the Eagles having a losing streak last year. We made a couple of mistakes with hiring certain coordinators and then allowing the coach to meddle a little bit too much, which led to that. And all of a sudden, he's not a leader. Prior to this, people were questioning his talent, and the thing they always did praise wasn't intangibles, leadership. Now he is a leader, and all of the players would vouch for that. And the way he leads, to your point, but the way Jalen Hurts leads is, he's the first guy at the facility every morning. Oh, every morning. He's spending more time in the film room than any of the other players. He's the last guy to leave the facility every day. That's how he leads. He has a consistent routine that he sticks to, that he doesn't veer from, and every year he's always getting better at something. Like this year, people might look at the stats and think he's down, but no. The area of focus for Hurts this year was getting better against the blitz because that was
Right.
the problem they had last year. And it was primarily because there were not mechanisms built into the offense that allowed him to be successful against the blitz. Do you know that Jalen Hurts wasn't even responsible for calling out blitz protections last year or the year before that? They told him from the time he was a rookie that they'll allow Jason Kelsey to do that because he did that for Carson Wentz. So he said, okay, we'll just allow him to do that. So then when we ran into those situations where really Kelsey was playing horrible, where Kelsey wasn't calling out the right protections, it makes Hurts look like he don't know what the hell he's doing. And that's what happened last season, especially in those bad spots like against the Cardinals, against the Giants, against the Bucks, and so on. So I look at that. How far has he come with the blitz? And right now, he's like the top 5 in completion percentage and production against the blitz. And that's what I'm trying to tell Philly fans. That's what you should be looking at. What improvements has he made since we've seen discovered weaknesses in his game. So yeah, that's the way it is on that.
Yeah. Hey, can you still hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let me throw out an interesting curveball for long because this literally just came to my mind. Do you notice like the media narrative difference between like the season Hurts had last year and the season Mahomes is having now? Like, okay.
Like, oh no, I thought you were gonna continue.
But yeah, the reason I say that is because really, if I'm looking at both of these teams and both of these quarterbacks and how they're playing, like there seems I at least look at it as a little bit of a correlation just because if you're and obviously you're an Eagles guy, so obviously last year when they were winning games and at one point they were 10-1. And like obviously like we have the hindsight of what happened later in the year, but I mean like if we were to just stop at game 11 and look at the Eagles at 10-1, there were actually a lot of people that were criticizing the Eagles and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And saying like, hey, I know they're winning, but like they're not playing their best football. I just find it interesting that like you flip forward now to this year and you look at Mahomes, because obviously the Chiefs as a team, they're actually playing fine. It's literally just Mahomes that's not playing well. And I think what's interesting, because here's what I find interesting, right? Last year, I feel like last year was more of like the total team was playing like not as great as they should have, because the defense last year obviously was not great. Jalen Hurts was turning the ball over a little bit. And so that to me, I think is really kind of a weird difference of like, okay, the Chiefs actually as a team are not playing badly at all. Like their defense has been unbelievable. Like Mahomes himself is not playing well. It's just interesting. Like I think the spin that people are putting on the Chiefs and their success, I don't mind it necessarily. I just don't know like why as many people weren't like looking as positive at the Eagles, especially because the year before that they came off the Super Bowl. Like that to me is where I wonder like why the narrative seems so like if it was a little different, I get it, but like the narrative on Mahomes and Hurts and like what they're talking about is like drastically different. Like it's almost like 180 though for land. Like I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Well, these are my thoughts on the whole situation when it comes to us and the Chiefs. I think what happens with the Chiefs is they earn the benefit of the doubt because they have three Super Bowl rings. So people could spin all types of narratives for them. I mean, they don't take the regular season as serious. They're kind of sleepwalking through it all. But we know what's going to happen in the playoffs. They're going to turn it on, and I think that's the way a lot of people look at the Chiefs. With Mahomes, he already has the stamp as being the best quarterback in the league. Already a top five quarterback all time. He's already stamped with that. He's kind of like a made man in that sense. Whereas with the Eagles, I think they have a lot to prove in people's eyes. I think that's part of it. But from an Eagles fan who I consider myself almost an insider because I'm always just dialed into what's happening, there's reasons for it. The primary difference between, at least offensively anyway, between the Eagles and the Chiefs is the Chiefs have continuity because their head coach is an offensive uh, creator. Like he's one of those innovative offensive guys. So whether it doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. It could be your enemy. It could be someone else. Andy Reid is always overseeing the whole thing, whether he's micromanaging it or whether or not he's letting the guy do his thing. He's the overseer. He designs the offense. And Patrick Mahomes has been in this offense his whole career. So he has
Right.
way more continuity there. Whereas Jalen Hurts, when he first comes to the league, Doug Peterson is our is the head coach. I forget the name of his damn coordinator that he had that year. But that was a year where Hurts only started 4 games. Next year he gets Shane Steichen because we hire Nick Sirianni. Beginning of that year, his 2022 season, Shane Steichen is no, I'm sorry, Nick Sirianni is the play caller primarily. Eagles start off 2-6. They shift the responsibility to Shane Steichen to call the plays. Eagles rip off, end up in the playoffs. I think with a 9-7 record or 8-7
Yeah,
or one of them
9-7.
weird, one of them weird numbers. You end up in the playoffs. Now the following year is when Hurts goes off, and that's because that was his second year with Shane Steichen. So Shane Steichen knows who Hurts is. He knows what he does well. He knows where weaknesses is. He added AJ Brown. So that was the kind of like the year where everything was comfortable. He knew all his checks. He knew where all his players were supposed to be. You could just tell there was a level of comfort. Now, after that year, Shane Steichen is gone. But his former quarterbacks coach becomes Brian Johnson becomes his defensive offensive coordinator. So we thought there would be some continuity there. It looked bad last year, a number of reasons. Number one, I think week one, when we faced the Patriots under Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick exposed a lot of things. Because you got to think, that is Bill Belichick given a whole year to just, a whole offseason to study you. So week one. And it was just so we started to see the same pattern. Two high safeties to try to take away the explosive plays. Um, there was a lot of like zoning to take away certain screen plays we used to like to run. It was just Bill Belichick put on a serious masterclass the first week. And then there was Brian Flores after that. And then pretty much everyone was following that same formula. And I think that's why we kind of, that coupled with the new offensive coordinator, we kind of stumbled to 10-1 just off the talent alone. It wasn't like coaches being ingenuity of the coaches. It was just the talent, you know. And that's what I think happened when we got to 10-1. Now, the other part was the schedule we had was crazy. It was a crazy schedule. We're talking about there was this period where you had to go through Miami, Dallas, Miami, Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, followed by San Francisco, Dallas. this That's where this was like a gauntlet, and we was getting through it. We beat Kansas City, beat Buffalo. And then this is what happened. The 49ers came off a bye and played us. It was a Thursday night game. We go from Sunday to having to play the 49ers. I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying. Just look at this. You play Buffalo on a Sunday. You got the 49ers on a Thursday night. Coming off a bye. 49ers coming off a bye. Right? So the rest disadvantage is ridiculous. You lose that game. Immediately after that game, you got the Dallas Cowboys coming in. That was just crazy. And I just think the team was just broken by then. You know, all of the things just came together. It was just a perfect storm of everything that ended up leaving the Eagles with the one of the biggest shit shows I've ever seen towards the end of the year.
Right.
And then there was a change. They changed the defensive coordinator. It was just a mess. And I think that's carrying on to now. So when people are judging like the Chiefs with all the BS they went through last year, they found a way to get it together, go to the Super Bowl, mainly, in my opinion, by Josh Allen choking, Lamar choking. I've never seen so many choke jobs. And when you choke against the Chiefs, the refs will help them. It's just what it is. I mean, it's just my opinion of it. I just think, at the end of the day, like I said, I just think Mahomes has the benefit of doubt. Hurts doesn't. And to a degree, they earned it, you know.
Yeah. Speaking on that, you brought up actually something that I laugh at just because I feel like this is kind of a symptom of what some teams would do when they face the Patriots. Like, I'll give an example. Remember, like the Atlanta Super Bowl?
Yeah.
When the Falcons were up 28-3 off of actually, ironically, a Brady pick 6, which made the score 28-3. Like, Kyle Shanahan, as offensive coordinator, for whatever reason, just did not want to run the ball. Like, you're up 25 points in the Super Bowl, and you're still passing it like it's the first quarter. Like, it's just certain. There are certain teams when the Patriots played like a long time back when they still had Belichick and Brady. There were a lot of times where it felt like teams just for whatever reason would just get outside of themselves and just not do stuff. Either not do stuff that they should do or do stuff that they wouldn't normally do. And it does feel like, to your point, I think not the Bills, because the Bills are going to play how they play, but I do feel like the Ravens, if you go back and watch that game, obviously we watched the game, but really that game plan by the Ravens was just awful. Like, because honestly, really what they should have done, if they could look back and actually replay that game, what they would have done is they would have ran the ball a lot more than what they actually did, because really what I think Lamar and the Ravens wanted to do, I think were interested, and this is where they killed themselves. I think, honestly, they felt like they were just as interested with winning the narrative than winning the game. Because obviously the narrative on Lamar, like, is that he can't throw the ball well outside the numbers. And I think really they came out firing and throwing the ball so much, you're like, hold on, this isn't, like, when have you ever known the Ravens, like, and we're talking about the Ravens in the last 30 years. When have we ever known them to be like a high-flying, throw-the-ball team? Like, that's just never been, even when they had Flacco, they didn't throw the ball, like, overly. They threw it a little bit. But, like, the Ravens have always been a run-the-ball team to set up the pass. Like, Lamar and the Ravens came out and, like, threw, like, 3-4 times in a row? And, like, you just knew at that point, starting the game, like, okay, listen, guys. Like, I understand, like, we're trying to prove that Lamar can throw the ball. I get it. But you run the ball, like, the team is going to be, and I think that's actually the reason why they went to get Derrick Henry, because I think they're looking at this season like, okay, we're not doing that again. Like, we're going to actually run the ball. Like, if we actually get back, and I actually think, like, that's one of the reasons why I think they would actually want that game to be replayed. Like, I think they actually want that rematch just because I think they think in their heart of hearts, look, if we can just actually stick to our identity even more so and run the ball, I actually think that they could get it done. But that to me is like the point that I would make is like the Ravens, like I think more so than the Bills, literally just went away from what has made them great for like 30 years. And that to me, like, you don't need to, I think a lot of times teams in their head like mythologize like these dynasties and stuff and think that you have to do more than sometimes what you have to do. Because like even when the Giants beat the Patriots, like they didn't do anything special. They literally just play smash mouth football. Like a lot of times, like these teams are not like as like mythical as like what we think and like what teams think. Sometimes you just gotta beat them by like smashing them in the mouth, like
yeah.
Falon.
Yeah. And what's special about those teams like the Patriots and the Chiefs is you have to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. That's the
Right.
thing. You got to go out there and just beat them. And the best way to beat a team is to do what you're good at. That's what it is. And yeah, I agree. They start just doing stupid stuff. Start playing not to lose, especially if they have a lead. Part like it's what the Eagles did. We were up 10, 24-14 against the Chiefs to start the third quarter and played not to lose more than to win. And it'll kill you every
Yeah.
time. Kill you every
Yeah.
time.
And go ahead.
Like that,
Yeah.
that came down to Andy Reid being an experienced coach over Nick Sirianni, who was there for his first time, and that became very clear. Andy, all the mistakes Andy was making when he was in Philly, with us, all the stupid stuff he was doing with McNabb. I saw Sirianni doing that against Andy. It was crazy.
Yeah. Actually, the example I was gonna bring up, you actually touched on a point that I didn't think of. But actually, the other point I was gonna bring up is like it's actually funny because if you look at like the way that the Eagles, like back in 2017, beat the Patriots is exactly, I think, what teams like the Niners and Ravens should do against the Chiefs, which is because the Eagles in that game against the Patriots, they literally just say, you know what, nah, like we're gonna try. Basically, their mindset was, listen, we're willing to risk getting embarrassed by going for it over and over and over, and just we would literally essentially it was an all nothing approach for the Eagles and Doug Peterson because when they faced the Patriots, they said, you know what, we're going to go all or nothing. And like because they had Nick Foles and they weren't, a lot of people didn't even think they would get there that year. And so I think already in their mind they're like, you know what, look, a lot of people didn't even think we would get here. We're just going to leave it all out there because I think a lot of people back then weren't picking the Eagles to beat the Patriots in that game. And so I think they should, you know what, if we're gonna lose, we're gonna at least lose like just emptying the clip, so to speak. Like if we lose that way, okay, we'll live with the results. I think teams nowadays, like Shanahan, for example, I don't know why he does this, but he does this over and over again. Where it feels like when he gets these leads, because his game plans are actually good enough to get him leads in these games, but they're not good enough to actually hold out and win. Like it's the craziest thing where it feels like once he goes ahead, it just feels like he reverts from what got him ahead. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, dude, you have these leads that you get in these big games and you don't continue to ride what got you there. I never understand like these teams that they self-inflict themselves to death, Ron. Like you know what I mean? Like you don't need to do fancy stuff to keep a lead. Like that to me is where I feel like teams get in their head. Like, listen, I understand these are dynastic teams like the Chiefs and Patriots. However, they're still football teams. Like they're not gods. Like you can still beat them. If you just continue to play how you play, you can still beat them. Like you don't need to just like go DEFCON 4 and just do stupid stuff. I don't understand that,
But you understand, the mental aspect of sports is very important. That's like 90% of it. You have to believe, you can do it. You got to believe in yourself against the team. Sounds simple, but it's real. These guys, they kill themselves because they're thinking the opponent is something more than they are. Now, what happened specifically in 2017, the Eagles versus the Patriots, the Eagles had a big-time advantage over the Patriots, and that is Carson Wentz got hurt. You know what I mean? And Bill Belichick, he even said to Doug Peterson, he said it was hard for me to find four games of what you do. And this is what happened. When Nick Foles became the starter for the Eagles. Nick Foles played one game. His first game was against the Raiders. He was horrible running Carson Wentz's offense. So Doug was like, man, this ain't gonna work. So what Doug did was he went into Nick Foles' past, and he saw that Nick Foles was at his best running that Chip Kelly offense that he did when he was with the Eagles. So what Doug did was something I've never seen a coach do. He completely scrapped the whole offense he was running all year and ran Chip Kelly stuff for Nick Foles. And so once Nick Foles got that and he got rolling against the second half against the Falcons in the first round of the playoffs, or it was the divisional round, and then in the championship game, once he got on that roll against the Vikings, that was it. And Bill Belichick literally had no idea what the Eagles were going to do in that Super Bowl. That's why it was like so easy to score. He just couldn't prepare for it. He just didn't have enough film. That was crazy.
Right.
Crazy. And what you said is true too. He was so aggressive. Like Bill Belichick couldn't believe it. He thought this dude was insane. He was just so aggressive.
Yeah, but one last thing, because I gotta head out, Freelon. But the one last thing I will say, and this is actually, I think, in relative to the point you were talking about with like teams that kill themselves. Like one thing I don't understand is in football games, especially watching the Chiefs, I don't understand like why teams don't have that one linebacker or hybrid safety or whatever you need to spy on Patrick Mahomes. Because I don't know how many games where I've watched where this dude takes off for like 15 yards. I'm like, bro, you have to keep. I understand like people don't think that he's a runner like that, but he can.
He will.
If you leave him like space, he's going to take off. Like I just don't understand. Like, because we've seen this for like, I mean, really like for a while now. Like even back when he was still younger, like he still could run. Like that to me is another aspect where I'm just confused. Like, dude, yes, he's not like, obviously we know he's not like a Lamar or Justin Fields or Kyler or guys like that who are like speedsters, but he's not a total like statue either. Like the dude can move. Like there's got to be at least one set of eyes on him just to make sure he doesn't take off, because a lot of times in these big games, especially like even in the Super Bowl last year, there were like 2 or 3 instances, actually in overtime, ironically, in that last drive where he won the game. Really, like 3 times he took off and he ran and got good yards. I'm like, why is there nobody back there? Like he's done this now twice and they still didn't put a linebacker there. It's like, dude, you do realize if everything's covered, he is going to run. He's not going to just stand there. Like I think a lot of teams, I don't know why. Maybe there's just this perception that like he's just not going to do it, even though he keeps doing it like every other game. It feels like to me, like you might need to help me on this, Fool Line. Like, why is there not like a guy back there to actually spy on Mahomes? Like at least somebody to like make sure he doesn't take off.
Brain farts, and it's probably the respect his arm so much. That's probably what it is. And but I said personally, I don't know. I would also actually probably send a free rusher at him pretty much every other too, because you got to move him off his spot.
Right.
I don't know. I really don't have an answer. And maybe he's that damn good they don't know what to do. Maybe.
I mean.
So you that dumb question?
Who I like tonight between the Chiefs and Niners?
No, sir. No, we got game 5?
Game 5. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't even think I have to say who I got, but
dumb question. I got you.
Here's my only concern, and I'm being dead honest. This game 5 to me, because there is a game 5 in front of the home crowd, I just don't want it to be a situation where it feels like one or both of the stars are struggling, because there really hasn't been a game with the Liberty like all finals long where both have played great, right? Like, obviously Sabrina's only had the one great game. Obviously, that was game 2. Stewart has had like moments here and there, but I mean, really, if you look at it, like what makes them special, really, to me, in my opinion, is their big 3 of Stewart, Anaskew, and Jones. Like they have a legitimate big 3. In this finals, though, we haven't had that one big game really between, obviously not all 3 of them, obviously, but like even between those 2, they've been good one game, bad the other game. And really with Sabrina, she's been bad most of the finals. The only thing I'm worried about, though, is in a game 5 where all of the pressure really and like the mental like stuff is going to be like going against the Liberty, because they have not won a championship yet. They've been there. This is their like 6th time, I think, in the finals, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot that's on this team, and really, it's funny. Like Sabrina and that team was just there last year, and so they're obviously part of history. Where I'm worried, honestly, is that if any of those people get off to a bad start, I worry if there's almost like an irony of like maybe feeling worse because you're in front of your home crowd. Like sometimes when you're struggling and you're at home, you sometimes, yeah, you sometimes feel like it's the weirdest thing ever sometimes in sports where when you're struggling and you're in front of your home crowd, you can sometimes feel it double
I
just because, you know what I mean?
I think that's what's happening to Dallas Cowboys. That's what I think is happening. You know, they're getting blown out at home almost every week. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just so I'll say this. Now, obviously, like I know who I'm gonna pick, but here's what I think has to happen. In order for the Liberty to win game 5, this is going to have to be, and I understand like it seems cliche, but this has to be a Sabrina game. And I mean like a game like what we've seen her play like when she's at her best. That has to be what she does, in my opinion, because I feel like here's the thing. The game that they barely won in game 3, that was a Stewart game. But obviously, like with Stewart playing amazing and Sabrina playing really bad until like the last like 60 seconds, that was a game in which they struggled to win. Now, obviously, in game 4, that was just basically a complete write-off, where both Stewart and Anescu were horrible. Like, I feel like she's going to have to be the one that just carries the team over the line because now, obviously, like one of the two obviously has got to play great, but I think it's got to be more Sabrina because if at least 2 of the stars of the big 3 don't step up, I just don't see how they win though. For line, like I'm worried because, like I said, Sabrina. Here's my question though. In all honesty, do you believe that seeing how she's playing the finals, do you believe that this is a game where Sabrina actually can give her best effort and have a vintage Sabrina like game? Like considering how the finals has gone so far.
Sure, she can. I don't know. I mean, do I expect it? Probably not. But you never know, man. Um, with great players, you never know. It's good. Mm.
I mean, I feel like she has
It'll be
to
a welcome sight, I'm sure.
I mean, she has to honestly because I feel like if she plays the way that she's played for most of the finals already, I don't see it. Like because maybe and I think maybe what they're gonna have to do, and it's hard to do just because the Lynx are one of the best defensive teams in all of the W though for line. Like their defense is insane. I think what is happening a little bit, and for line, this comparison is actually gonna be kind of funny, just because like this is somebody who's obviously very polarizing.
Right.
But I feel like you almost to a certain extent. I'm almost picturing like remember what happened with Iowa like in the championship games, like the last 2 years, where it felt like because you have a player obviously who's more of like your shoot first player who obviously can pass the ball, not necessarily amazing defensively, but like sometimes when you face teams that face a particular player of that archetype. A lot of times what they do is they not only try and be physical with you on offense, but they try and make you work on defense.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, yeah, I think with some, and obviously like it's not completely 1-to-1 because like Sabrina is a more capable defender than Caitlin, but I think like at least the archetype of the player is similar. I think sometimes what you have to do with players like that, I think with Sabrina, this is what I think. Game 5, I think that's what they should try and do. They should try and get her more off the ball. Yeah. To me, I think they should try and get her off the ball because she's been on the ball a lot in this finals, and the Lynx defense is just loading up on her. They're literally saying, "You know what? Nah, we're not going to let you shoot deep threes." Like a lot of times when you have players who can shoot from that far out, they're just like, "Nah, we're going to make you pass the ball." And she's not necessarily. She's not a bad passer by any means, but that's not her strength. She's not like a great passer. Cool. And I think like the Lynx are basically
who's not a great
Sabrina.
Yeah, you don't think so? Okay.
Well, I'll put it like this. I don't think she's an amazing passer. I don't think she's a bad passer. She can pass. I just don't think like that's like her actual strength, though, is what I mean. And so, but I think though in game 5, I think the coach is going to get her off the ball because I think that Lynx defense is just too good to just ask Sabrina to be constantly on the ball and going head up with these guys because they've got a lot of versatile defenders who can also switch. And so there's not like literally like how can I put this? There's not like a red dot type of defender out there where
Right.
you can literally put the red dot on them and just target them. Like the Lynx don't have that type of player compared to like the teams that they faced in previous rounds where there was somebody that you could target. Like even in the last years, like that red dot person was Kelsey Plum, where Sabrina just went at her over and over and over and over.
Right.
Like there isn't that type of player for the Lynx. Like they're too versatile. Like they don't have like a god awful defender that you could just target. You know what I mean?
And their team defense is too sound. Even if you kind of tried, that's the thing. Their help defense is just crazy, especially led by Collier. Collier she's all over the place.
And so
like Eagle Dollar, she's crazy.
Right, and so that's the reason why I think they got to get her off the ball, because there's not one defender, like I said, that she's gonna be able to say, okay, I've got the red dot on you, like I'm gonna go out. Like there isn't that person on the Lynx that really is that targetable, and so they gotta try and get her off the ball and maybe give the Lynx defense a little bit something different, because the way that the Lynx are defending, they understand like what they have to do to defend her and switch. Like you're just not gonna be able to get like great matchups just head on. Like they're gonna have to get her off the ball, set back picks, like do whatever. You gotta switch it up because I think what they may be setting Sabrina up for is for another bad game where it could actually be a worse game. Because here's the thing. Somebody like Sabrina who has a mentality like she has, I think personally, she's gonna want to go out there and close out the game herself. Now, not in like the literal sense, but like her mindset is like, look, we're back in the same spot that we were last year in the finals. This is the deciding game. This is for all the marbles. I want to go out there and make sure that we get this. Like she's gonna want to, in her mind, snatch it. Right. But the problem with that, though, is what I'm alluding to is that's why I worry. Like if you start missing shots and playing bad early, does now the frustration and the doubt get to a higher level? Just because it's like, because this is the moment that really she's wanted since last year. Like the entire team, it's one of the reasons why I feel like they came out and they were just so dominant, like from the start of the season, because they wanted that redemption. And so they're here now, but I just don't want it to be a situation in which they almost take it too far and they try and like have the hand on the rope too much and you just get tight. You know what I mean? Like that can sometimes happen when like you feel like a lot of pressure of a moment, like either you're trying to get payback, or you're trying to like lift a curse or whatever. Like, I don't want that to get in her head to the extent where now she's missing shots and it starts to now snowball. Like that's the only thing I worried about for Lon.
I got you. So overall, I still think you like New York. I like Minnesota. So I think we're gonna see.
Yeah, it should be a hell of a game, though.
Yeah. All right, so now I'm gonna close this out, man. Appreciate you for coming through as always, for sure.
Salute to you, for
Sure, salute. So next week, Philadelphia Eagles, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Hopefully, they're still struggling, and we can pull that out, put together a nice string. That'd be 3 in a row coming out that bye, and hopefully, Philadelphia Eagles will be taking that thing all the way this year, man. So, peace out.